Hello and welcome. It is the Brian Hornback Experience. This is episode 77, and we've got another candidate running for public office in 2022. And we're talking with Chuck Severance from over in Powell. Good morning, Chuck. How are you?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So we're recording this right after we were over at the Boys and Girls Club over off of Dry Gap in kind of dainty Powell Halls. And we had a good crowd over there at the Halls Republican Club meeting, and you made your presentation along with a couple of others, and sounded like everybody's on Team Chuck. It sounds like.
Well, it would be a great thing. I know that my opponents are out working hard, and so am I. And it's a great thing about being in America that we all have an opportunity, and I hope that once it's said and done, that I come out on top. So. I'm just out doing my thing, and I appreciated everybody last night being there, listening to what I had to say. It sounded like I got a pretty decent applause when it was all said and done. So
You did. So Chuck Severance, for those of us that have been around politics for about the last 40 years, like I have, Chuck Severance is a known entity. Your mother and father have been very active in the community and particularly in Republican politics, and you are running a Republican primary. Your father served in the legislature for a number of years. Charles Severance, got to see him last night. And of course, your mom worked in a couple of different governors' administrations and was vice chair of the Republican Party, was chair of the Republican Party. You've been knocking on doors and campaigning, I guess, most of your life, haven't you?
I think since I was about 12 years old, Brian. 48 years, man. That's been a while, yes, sir.
Wow.
I appreciate you saying that about Mom and Dad too. Dad said last night after he saw you, he came over and he said, I love Brian Hornback. I said, well, that's cool.
Well, he needs to be careful because if he says that too much, some people might start questioning him, but no, Charlie did a good job in the legislature, and of course, the legislature isn't the legislature that it was back then. Things have changed considerably, but now you're in the home building, or you're in the window and door business, right? As a profession.
Fellow window and door business company. I call on architects and contractors. I've been in the building industry for about 36 years now, so yes, sir.
Wow, that's great. But now you've been involved. You're not a Johnny come lately because you've been involved with you've been on the board of the Three Ridges Golf board for a number of years. I guess from the time that they started building Three Ridges, which, by the way, for those watching or listening, is the only Knox County public golf course. We have a Knoxville golf course that the city runs. Then I think Whittle the only other public golf course in Knoxville?
Whittles and yes.
Whittles and Knoxville, and then Three Ridges.
It used to be Knoxville Municipal, but I don't know if they're still paying Knoxville or not. I know they're run by Billy Casper Golf, I think, manages them. So I don't think that they're now from the city.
Okay.
They probably pay the city a stipend.
Yeah.
Probably a percentage that comes to them, but but Three Ridges is the only county golf course.
And you really, last night you talked briefly about Three Ridges, but it's got a national award recently, hasn't it? You didn't mention that last night.
Yeah, we are in one of the top 100 public golf courses now in the United States. Mark Brown and his staff have done such a great job out there. Continuing to work on the golf course to improve it, but not just that, Brian. He's also has worked so hard with our young adults or our young children, junior high school. He has them out there. They do a lot of their tournaments, or their outings. He has a lot of teaching situations out there, and at Beverly Park. The county's kind of taken over Beverly Park and Concord golf course as well. So, where they're really developing a junior program for the future, so that these kids that they do stay in our community will still come and play these golf courses. And he's just done an outstanding job, and I don't see anything but it getting better for the future. So,
well, you know,
I'm very proud of what they do out there.
I think you made the point that, you know, COVID, the pandemic kind of got people out of their houses and got people playing golf. So I'm sure that's going to be an interest going forward. But, you know, it's interesting you mentioned about how Mark's working with the young people. That kind of takes us into one of the other areas of service, and that was your time with the Boys and Girls Club. And so talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. When I came on, I was asked to serve on that board by the executive director at the time, Miss Lisa Hurst. And so I came on just as a board member. And about 3 months into my time, the lady that was the chair, she had taken another job and had to step down. And I mean, there were some people that had been on that board for a few years, but they asked me, just because they had seen what I'd already done in 2 or 3 months and being active and trying to help children and raise money and doing the things that we were doing, to take over as the chair. And we served 3-year terms, so I served 2 3-year terms as the board chair. And as I alluded to last night, we helped to raise over $300,000 for our children in our District 7 community. But,
wow.
You know, great place. You know, Pete DeBus got a lot to do with getting that done. And Mary Lou Horner, believe it or not.
Good old Mary Lou.
Mary Lou, she kind of was the pioneer of getting that facility started. And, of course, Pete DeBus helped to raise money. And of course, it has his name on it, too.
Right. Well, and,
it's a great place for our community. I mean, you know, the kids come in there, and like I said, it's a safe place for them to play, and they've got opportunities to have some extra tutoring when they need it. They just teach them a lot of life lessons and life skills to go forward with them.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I didn't realize that you had served a stint on was the Foster Review Board. You kind of alluded to that last night. So, for those listening or watching the YouTube, talk about the Foster Review Board that Knox County, and in particular, our Republican Juvenile Court Judge, Tim Irwin, who, by the way, is unopposed May the 3rd and unopposed August the 4th. But go ahead and talk about that Foster Review Board and just your experience on that board.
Wow, that's kind of a heart tugger, to be honest with you. I got on that board. Attended the first few meetings and kind of, saw what was going on. Like I told you last night, sometimes you see the absolute worst in people, but yet you see, the best in others. There's a lot of sadness when you have people that come in that have had, crack babies. That was the worst thing that I saw, for these crack babies, that these mothers would come in, they'd have to just give up. They couldn't take care of the babies, babies that were 17, 18 months old that couldn't even still raise their heads.
Wow.
You didn't know what type of life that they were going to lead if they were in the system forever and ever. But yet, that was the worst of the people. And then the best is, you'd have a family come along beside them, and they didn't care what, they were there to give this child a chance, an opportunity for some type of a life, and we're willing to take over, no matter what. And,
there's probably a large number of foster children and foster parents. It's probably a greater number than any of us realize, I would imagine.
It's unbelievable. And what happens? You get these teenagers too, 15, 16 years old. But they want a loving home. They want to be somewhere where they're cared for and loved for. But once they get to that age, what we were seeing is there's not a lot of people that want to take on somebody at that age. They're wanting a younger kid that they can nurture and raise for their own. So when these kids turn 18, they're out.
They're just aged out, and they're
aged out. Yeah,
and
out of the system, and then the next thing you know, they're on the streets.
And then the cycle probably regenerates itself.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Correct.
So I mean, they wind up having babies, and then it's just
so,
a continuing cycle.
It's a continuing cycle, and Judge Irwin does such a great job with that. And, he really cares about what goes on with our youth.
Now you've had to step up. You got appointed to the Public Building Authority, which is the entity that we use to build all of our government type buildings. You got appointed that, and then just kind of similar to what happened with the Boys and Girls Club. I guess you kind of wind up getting thrown into chairmanship of the Public Building Authority as well, right?
Yeah, we have. The opportunity came available. I guess this is my 6th year on the board, going on 7. I served a couple of years just as just a regular board member, and then I was asked to run as the vice chair. So I was the vice chair for 3 years, and that's the longest you can be,
right,
as a chairperson. 3 years, and you have to come off as chair. So the board asked me and Jane Barrett to be the chair, so I have taken over as now the chair of the Public Building Authority Board, and got a great group of people. In fact, we have a meeting today at 5 o'clock. And,
oh, cool.
So yeah, good group of people, and they work hard to take care of our city and county buildings.
Right.
So. Yeah.
Well, now you're running for county commission. So the 7th district has been served for the last 7, almost 8 years by Charles Bustler. And it's Powell and Halls with some Heiskell included in it.
Right.
So obviously you've been pretty busy in the community, and now you want to be busier, I guess, and being a county commissioner, and you know, getting all those phone calls from people. But obviously there's about 4 things that we're going to talk about that's kind of your campaign platform. But what brought you to the decision that, hey, well, first of all, we know Charlie Bustler can't run again. We have term limits in Knox County, which we as voters voted that in 1994 because it seemed like the trendy thing to do. There's days that I think it's a good idea, and there's days I think it's a bad idea because you lose some history and some knowledge. But obviously Bustler can't run again. And what made Chuck Severance say, you know what, I think I want to be just a little bit busier?
Yeah, well, thank you for that question, Brian. A couple of years ago, I got to asking around, knowing Charlie only had a couple of years left, who was looking at running, and there was nobody that was stepping up to do it. And it just became a really good time in my life to where, I could give back to my community. So I decided to jump in, with both feet. Went to the Halls meeting, went to the Powell meeting, January and February of 2020, and nobody was talking about running. So I made the announcement, and boom, COVID hit.
Yep. Everything got shut down.
Everything got shut down. So we really didn't get cranked back up until April of 2021. But to answer your question is, I decided to get in because I know that, we've had good representation out here for a long time. And, I know a lot of people in this community. I live in this community, been a part of this district for over 30 years. And I just wanted to give back because my wife and I have 2 small businesses in Powell. And, people come in and they're good to us, and I want to be good to my community. I want to make sure that, we're doing the right things here, and that we're taking care of. This is a destination place to live. It's not just, we just come in here, move out 3 or 4 years later. People come in here and they stay. This is a really great area, and I just want to make sure, that we're doing the thing, that we continue to develop, the community development. We got a lot of things going on out here, and I just want to make sure that we're moving forward with it, and that I'm the guy for the job to get it done, because I know a lot of these people and have been involved. And, I know who to pick up the phone and call. If there's something that needs to be done, I know who to call.
Right.
And, it's the experience that I have, that I bring to the table, that I think my opponents do not. Mm-hmm. And
well,
I learned a long time ago. Let me say this, and then I'll.
Oh yeah, you're good. You're good.
But back when my dad was in the legislature, we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
We still had home phones, and I can't tell you how many times the phone might ring at 10 and 11, even at 11 o'clock at night, and people, whether they were Republican or Democrat, my dad, he always talked to them. He'd always try to do his best to help them. And that was one of the things that I learned from him. We're Republicans and we're Democrats, and we all live in the same community, even though this is a huge Republican area. But still, we're elected by the people for the people, and that's who I am. I'm here to work and help everyone that I can, and just to do the right thing. So,
well, and I would be remiss before we start talking about some of your campaign platforms, which one of them is the first one's education. But I don't think we should miss the point that your wife Kim served at least a term or two on the Knox County School Board. So
she did. She served one term.
Right, and that was before Patty Bounds, and of course Patty's not running again. She served 8 years, so Kim served the 4 years. So I guess that was almost 12 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So obviously education is important. Things are going on in the Powell and Halls and Heiskell. And I know you've already met with Bob Thomas and my friend Ron McPherson, a good old Carter boy, by the way. Just kind of talk about what you're hearing as you're going door to door, and the things you're hearing about education and what you see going forward, especially now that we got Dr. John Reiswick, who's going to be our next superintendent.
Correct. People they're concerned. Of course, the masks this last year or so.
Oh, it's been brutal.
It's been the mask. I don't hear a lot about our teachers and those kind of things from people that I'm knocking on their doors. Now, when I talk to teachers, I listen to their concerns as well. But it's mainly been the masks. And what are you? People say, what are you going to do about masks? And I'm like, well, I don't. County Commission really has no control.
Yeah, thankfully, that's the school board's job.
Yeah, it's a school board deal, and of course, this Judge Greer, the federal judge that mandated that Knox County wear a mask. I mean, that was all on something that we had no control over. And right now we've got under that 60 days.
Yep.
They've allowed the masks to come off. So, I don't know where that'll go forward, but bless these people's hearts. I mean, it's a tough deal.
Yeah.
Either side of it. But,
well, it's become such a polarizing issue within the community. You got so many people who are anti-mask, you got so many people who are pro-mask, and I can see the value on both sides. And then there's people like me that just say, if you got to wear a mask, you got to wear a mask, and But I mean, I think the worm turns, so to speak, when those of us in East Tennessee don't like being told what to do. And I think Judge Greer was appointed by one of the Bush presidents, and I mean, from what I understand from some of my friends who know him, believe him to be a pretty good constitutional conservative. But I think he was just basing his decision on what he read in the court papers. And what people don't understand is the law is the law, and you got to. Everything's got to be done exactly right. But at some point, it's just like, golly, I mean, we just don't want to be told what to do. So the mask mandate really, really kind of galvanized. And hopefully both sides can come to a mediated settlement, and they can move on within these 60 days. So
yeah, I agree with you. So, so in our schools, when I'm out talking, I want to make sure that we hire and retain, the best educators that we can. And I mean, that's a tough job.
Yeah.
Doing that. I know it's always money a lot of times are at the forefront. And, we need to pay our teachers, but we also need to make sure that we're getting the best technology in the hands of our students to help them to learn as well. So I know that there's some federal monies that are coming. What I've understood from Bob Thomas and Mr. McPherson, that there's a pretty good chunk of change coming, and they're going to try to do the best that they can to at least put a laptop in every student's hands. In the future, and some extra money for the teachers. So
hopefully,
see how this goes as it goes along.
Yeah, hopefully what can happen is commission and school board can work together. I know in the time 20 years ago when I was on the school board, we didn't get along. Matter of fact, the school board wound up suing the commission, and it was just a barrel of fun. But hopefully the school board and commission they've been working together relatively well.
Relatively well.
And so
they just made that. The county commission just passed that deal for the teacher or for the school board to be able to hire outside.
Yeah, hire some legal help. So
Some legal. So to me, there's a little cohesiveness there between the two of them. So hopefully they're making some headway for each other, to get along a little bit better. So I look forward to that. Once I get elected, to work together with them.
Yeah. So what?
It's all about doing the best thing we can for our county.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
What about community development? I know that's one.
So we've got a lot of things going on. Of course, I mentioned Larson J. He's been a big help out here with this cleaning up Beaver Creek and opening that up. That's a huge undertaking. Of course, the mayor's involved in that. We've got people from the Parks and Recs department out here daily that are helping to clean that up. And they're going to have, a waterway where you're going to be able to, take kayaks basically starting in Halls and go all the way out to Solway. I think it's 42 miles.
Yep.
Of waterway, from what I understand. And,
my dad's taking on kayak, and I haven't quite decided. I haven't quite figured out a big old fat boy like me ought to go on a kayak.
I understand. I haven't jumped in one of them either. But my son's kayak, so
there you go.
Think that's kind of cool. So I'll let them do it. And I'll just take pictures.
There you go. How is the infrastructure in Powell and Halls? I mean, I know Emory Road's almost like a super speedway these days.
The new Emory Road, it sure is.
It's nice.
It's been a great addition as far as traffic goes. I know there's some people that live on the old Emory Road that that's in their backyard. I don't think that's made them very happy, but overall, I mean, if you look, I know Minetz is building a new facility there for a funeral home.
I drove by that last night on my way to Halls, and I looked at it finally, and I'm like, you know what? That's looking like a funeral home to me. But
that's what that is. That's Minetz Funeral Home.
Okay.
So it's got some opportunity in some places for some new business to come in and to do that. So that's been a good thing. I've met with TDOT. I actually had about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. I sat down with Steve Borden, Dwight Justice, and we're getting ready to do a diverging diamond interchange there at the I-75 exit at Emory Road. So there's some, that's going to help to alleviate the traffic, especially in the evening where it backs up on the interstate. And then they came out, I guess it was Thursday week ago, and did a presentation at Powell. First Baptist Church of Powell, basically the same thing that I had gone over, but I wanted to sit down with them so I could really ask some more poignant questions, because people are asking me, what do you know? What do you know? What are they going to do? And so I wanted to, I want to be better educated as well when I do take over, or elected, to be able to speak to that. And boy, they were great to sit down with, about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, and then. They're also talking about in 2027 extending East Emory Road all the way out to Gibbs.
Wow.
5-laning that. It's a 2-lane now. So there's a lot of things that are going on in this community, and so the infrastructure. We got to make sure that we're able to provide sidewalks for our children. Going to school and safety, because we're growing, and we're growing. Pretty exponentially. So,
well, and we got to. I would be remiss. My buddy Rob Faust and my buddy David Chris both live out in the Halls and Powell area, and as long as whatever they do to Emory and I-75, as Rob Faust wants, as long as whatever they do, as long as they put in lights. He says it's the darkest intersection coming off the interstate of any interchange anywhere. So as long as they put up some lights, Rob will be happy. But before we get out of here, we're getting close. But before we get out of here, you talk about safety. Obviously, Sheriff's Department and our law enforcement, you know, they're always, I think the county commission this week and next week are going to vote on potentially doing a 2.5% increase every year. That would be automatic. So what's your thought? I mean, I'm sure you're not one of these that's going to be anti-police. So talk about that real briefly, and then I'll let you get out of here.
Sounds good. Yeah, you know, that's, and you heard some talk last night about we're blessed that we have good law enforcement. I mean, I know we're down some numbers with some of our people that are out protecting us, but that's the thing. They still protect us. When a 911 call comes in, they show up.
Yep.
You know, you don't get that in a lot of other cities across America. But our community and our police force, the county and the city, you know, they're still out keeping us safe. And yeah, absolutely, I support our law enforcement 100%. You know, and I just hope that they're doing the right thing. You know, you see all these things on television that have happened, and George Floyd case, and you know, and there's some issues that we've had here in Knox County as well, where we've had things that probably shouldn't have taken place. But again, you know, they protect us, and when they're called out, they don't know. You know, you don't know whether you're coming home at night, being a law enforcement agent. It's got to be very stressful.
Right.
But I'm just so thankful that, you know, we do have the representation that we have with our county officers, that they show up. They're very professional. When I'm out and I see them, I'll go, you know, if it's a gas station or at lunch or something, if I can run into one. I ran into one last week at the bank. You know, I want to hear their concerns. I want to know what they see and what their future looks like and what they're doing. And you know, these guys are awesome. They're on it. They know exactly what to do, and you know, we're blessed to have them, Brian.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being on here. Folks can find you on Facebook at Elect Severance. That's Severance, Elect Severance on Facebook. Also on Twitter, Instagram, Elect Severance. And then the website is Severance, Severance, for FOR. And then spell out County Commission, COUNTY, COMMISSION.com. Severance for countycommission.com. Elect Severance everywhere else, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And Chuck, I appreciate you joining me here on the Brian Hornback Experience. And I'm sure we'll be talking again after May, going into the general election. You don't have a Democrat opponent, do you?
I do not. No,
Ah.
We're going to be over in May.
All right. Well, congratulations. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you this summer and after September 1st, when the new commission is seated. I'm sure we'll be talking then. And I appreciate you joining me today.
Brian, thanks for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chuck. Have a great day.
You too, sir.
See you. Bye.